Welcome to Mimika TV. I'm your host, Mimika Cooney. Get ready to break through barriers, fuel your faith, pursue your purpose, and market your message so you can impact the marketplace for God.
That no matter what you've gone through, you can still have joy.
Welcome to Mimika TV. I'm your host, Mimika Cooney. Today, I'm very excited to introduce a guest to you today, and she has got some great tips she's going to offer you, but I want to let you know a little bit more about her. So, award-winning author Adria Wilkins enjoys telling a story, adding sprinkles of joy and a few extra dollops to liven it up. After suffering the unthinkable, the death of 3-year-old Blake, she found that Jesus sustains and even surprises his followers with joy. She has been a contributing author in 6 other books and has been a guest on the Christian Television Network. Her new book, The Joy Box Journal, was recently published. So I'm going to say welcome so much, Adria. I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Mimika, for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I was commenting before we hit record about your cute accent. You have been around, just like me. I'm a fruit salad. We are from all over the place, so yes. We can keep people guessing. But you have, and I've been watching a little bit of your videos online. Super cute. You mentioned you just got into video, right? So has that been fun?
Yes. It has been nerve-wracking at first, but I'm beginning to learn to like it.
Well, that's good. I'm very proud because that's why I say I love connecting with authors and telling their stories, because I know as an author how much hard work it is to publish a book. I call it like having a baby. You get all excited in the beginning and then the nausea sets in and the tiredness and then the pain. You're like, oh, this is so hard. And then the last push is like, oh my gosh, can someone please stop this? Why did I do this to myself? And then it's done and you're like, oh, that was so awesome. Let's do it again.
That's exactly right.
Exactly. Well, I'm on a mission to really help and empower Christian authors to really share their story, get their books published, do what they need to do, step up to the calling that God is really calling them to do, because we know there's work to do. But before we get into all of that, give our audience a little bit of a backstory and how you got started in doing what you're doing today.
Well, as you mentioned in my bio, we had a child that was born in 1999 with spina bifida. His name was Blake. And during his first 100 days in the hospital, I journaled and I wrote about the neat things that were happening, even though it was a crisis. I journaled how people touched our lives, how people came to the rescue when we weren't expecting it. People knocked on our door with food or was able to take me to the hospital to see my child, because my child was 2 hours away from our home in Dallas, Texas, in the hospital. And so we did a lot of traveling from Paris, Texas to Dallas, Texas, just to see our son for 100 days. And then he came home 100 days after his birth.
Yeah, that's really trying. I know I'm a parent of 3 kids. My eldest is 20 and then an 18 and a 9-year-old. And I know when babies get sick, it's like the worst thing. And mom goes into mama bear mode and you're just trying to do the best you can. You go into the survival and you don't really realize it until you look back, right, what you were going through. But what I love about your story is that you've been able to really find joy through all of this. And as you mentioned, Blake did pass away, right? And you said he was 3?
Yes. We had 24-hour home health care in our home, and we had physical therapy services once a week, and we called our home a revolving door, that people just were constantly in and out. But he was getting ready to go to school, and he knew sign language. He did about 15 words. We also had a little board that had pictures, and he could put a picture up there and tell us if he wanted mommy or daddy, because he couldn't speak. He had a trach. One of his problems that he had was called Arnold-Chiari malformation. And that is part of your brainstem that controls your breathing, swallowing, and body temperature. So he had to be on a ventilator 24 hours a day. His trach came out and she could not get it back in. And so he basically suffocated. But they were able to get the trach back in, but because he had been so long without air, that he was brain dead. And we knew that we just did not want to continue life like that. It just didn't seem like the right thing for us to do. And so 2 days later, we took him off of life support. He was a joy. He was constantly giving kisses and smiling and interacting with us. Just because he was on a ventilator didn't mean that he wasn't interactive. And so the joy that he brought in our lives, I wrote about that in my journal. And that's where a lot of my material has come from. When I sat down seriously 4 years ago, I went to the Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference and got serious about what in the world am I going to write. And I knew that I did not want to write a memoir. I wanted it to be something else. And so after talking with some different people, we decided to go the angle of a journal. And for me, I got really excited because that way I would be able to share little pieces of his life, but also other things that have happened in our lives. And just to be able to encourage people that no matter what you've gone through, you can still have joy. The day that I laid my child down after we took him off of life support, the peace that was in that room was unbelievable. And I felt a burden release off of me. And I walked out of the room and everyone else was crying. And I said, I am so joyful because I knew where he was and I knew that it's going to be okay. I didn't have to question anymore. Is he going to live today? I didn't have to ask that question anymore. And it's okay. And I want people to understand that it's okay when you go through trials. It's okay to be upset, but there's also a joy to be found. And I am learning about people that have been reading my book about their experiences, and I'll share that with you in a few minutes, about how they're learning about joy in something that they went through years ago. So that's kind of where all the Joy Box journal comes from.
Well, that is such an exciting and an uplifting story. And that even though that it's hard and you think that you need to be sad, that there's a lot of joy that comes out of it. And let me show our audience, for those on video, this is actually what she sent me. A copy. Isn't this gorgeous? Very nicely done. It's got a lot, and I love journals. Like that's what I get for Mother's Day every year. And they know I go through 2 or 3 a year. And this one is super great because you can see you can make notes. And I like that idea, especially for us busy moms. Sometimes we don't have a lot of time to go through stuff. And I know I listen to books on audio because to sit every time, it's like a neon sign. When the kids see mom on the couch with a book in her hand, it means let's keep interrupting her. Seriously, exactly. I have to escape in order to get some time. But what I love about this, it doesn't have to take long. There's just little bite-sized snippets and you can make notes. And I also think it helps a lot with gratitude. Like sometimes I'm having like a real pity party and I'm like, okay, girl, you need to go read your diary from where you were a few months ago and realize how far you've come so you can stop complaining. Because really sometimes we need to slap ourselves in the face and go, what have we got to be thankful for today? Because we just need to, find these ways. So that is really awesome. So I'm going to say congratulations on that. This is a beautiful baby. And I know everybody will love it. We'll have links to all this below the show notes. So whether you're listening or watching, make sure to click on that link and we'll connect you with Adria's things. But tell us a little bit about the whole book journey. Now, a lot of our listeners are perhaps in the same situation. Maybe they've gone through something and they feel like God is really calling them to share their story. Like you mentioned memoir. And I recently wrote a blog post about this because as you know, I love to encourage writers to really get their books out there and Christians to share their story, whether it's speaking on stage or writing blog posts or whatever, because the world's a hot mess. We need some light workers like yourself sharing joy, sharing hope, sharing good content out there. But I know it can seem very daunting. Now, you have had the opportunity to work with Hachette, which is a traditional publisher. Now, my audience knows I love to talk about self-publishing because I've done both traditional and self-publishing. But tell us a little about this journey and how you kind of got to that stage and why you felt it was necessary to kind of put this out there in the public.
Well, so I went to the Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference 4 years ago. And I went there as I always call it, a baby. And I went there thinking, I'm going to interview with agents and publishers, and I'm going to just, you're gung ho. And I see that every year when I go to writers' conferences. And I want, it humors me because I see myself what I was 4 years ago. So, the first year you go, I got a ton of compliments, a ton of encouragement, but I knew that I was not ready after my interviews. But you know what I tell people? Go ahead and do an interview because it will help you know where you need to work, what you need to work on. So I left that first year a little discouraged because I thought they would really want this, but they did, but they wanted me to work on it. And I got some great ideas and tips. So now after 4 years, well, I'm going to back up 2 years after that, I interviewed with Worthy Publishing. Hachette bought out Worthy Publishing. So I interviewed with Pamela Clements with Worthy Publishing, and she was very touched by the idea of what I wanted to write. And she said, send me your proposal, send me 10 stories, and I will look at it. So I did. Many authors, when they are asked to send their proposal, they don't. And I hear this a lot on videos of people that talk about this. And I really do encourage you to do that. Now, here's what happened with mine. I didn't hear anything for a while. And so that was in June. December came, hadn't heard anything. So I decided, okay, I'm going to email them. I don't want to bug anybody. So it had been 5 months or so. So I emailed, and I also copied another editor that I have because I was in a contributing book called Just Breathe, which is with Worthy Publishing. And the editor of that, I copied her on this email of the proposal with Pamela Clements. And so about a month later, I got an email from my current editor at Hachette. And she said, oh, I'm sorry. The reason why we did not get back to you is Pamela had left Worthy. And so it kind of just got left out there, in the email world. So she, out of the blue in January, emails me and says, we are going to take this to the pub board and we're going to discuss it here in about a month about your book. And so I want to see if you're still interested. And I was like, yes. But what I have to tell you is in January of that year, I had decided, it had been several years, I was like, well, maybe I just need to be a contributing author. And you know what? Do not downplay that. I tell people all the time, get into other books with other authors, write an article, write a story. And I've got several people that I can link you up with that will help you along the way. Be a contributing author, get into magazines. That will boost your publishing career. I guarantee it. And so I had decided I'm going to be a contributing author and I'm going to let my book rest and put that on hold. And so I told several people that, and they know this story, and I have it documented, okay? So I can prove where I'm going with this. So then, no lie, a month later, I get this email from Hachette, and they're like, we want to do your book. And I'm like, I had said I wasn't going to do a book, I decided to give it a break. So I think I really do believe it was just God saying, you know what, I needed you to let it go. And then I'm going to work my timing out. And so anyway, my whole world just changed within a month. And I had to get busy. And the next thing I know, and so the other little thing I'll tell you, and then I'll take a break, is that in my book proposal, I did not put in there that I wanted a box in my book, because I have this little box here that you put together. But I had brainstormed the idea, and I'd even been looking like, how do I put my book in a box? How can I get a box in a book? And I thought, it's just not even, I just won't even go there. When they came back and said, we got a yes, we want to do your book, but we have one little thing. We want to put a box in the book, but we don't know what that looks like. And so I got so excited, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt that the timing of all this is God's timing. The box in the book, definitely God's timing. I mean, my mom actually said, okay, I want you to go back and prove to me that this has really happened. And I'm like, here it is. Here's the dates and everything. And so I just got so excited. And then the outcome of what it looks like and how it came about, it's all God. And so I tell people, do your diligence, write your material. When it is God's timing, He will open the floodgates. And when He does, you better hang on. It's going to be a ride.
I love that. It's kind of like we go through this process. Like it's because I teach marketing and business, and I've been in that space. And it's like, if you want to create something, just go do it. But when you involve God in the process, whether it's God in your business or in your writing journey, there's a process He wants to take you through. And I love how He put you on the shelf. It's like, you just need shell, cool your jets, and when it's ready. And I have this very similar story where 2 years ago, I went to a conference as well. And I was like, I'm going to tell my story because I really feel this is what God wants me to do. And Christian writers make that mistake of thinking I need to do a memoir.
Yes.
And what I heard, I went and met with a publishing agent, and she said, memoirs don't sell. And I was like, stab to the heart. Like, how? Why? Why, God, you're telling me these things? But sometimes it's not necessarily how we think it's going to play out, but it's that we're available and ready to share it. So I love how you've been able to share that about your journey, that it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes, the doors open in several different directions. Sometimes we need to position ourselves to be in the right place. Like, I love the fact that you said you went to these writing conferences, because that makes a huge difference. If you're sitting in your closet hoping and wishing, there's no such thing as wishing. It's not going to get you anywhere. So I love that process of actually sharing that. So congrats again. And I love that idea of the box. That's just like a total God wink, right? Like, I got you. I heard you.
It is.
That is hilarious.
And I love how you said He just put you on the shelf for a while. I had to write that down while you were saying it. That was just fantastic that He put me on the shelf. I love that. I'm going to have to use that, hopefully with your permission.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, and I find that it's so lovely that you can take what we've learned, even the hard stuff, and you can turn it around, because that's really what it is that you can turn things, because it's the power of our testimony, right? So however that looks for you, but no matter where you are in life, don't discount the small beginnings, because you don't know, like those little blog posts or reading these books or going to conferences or connecting with other people. And I love what you mentioned about anthologies. That's one of my projects for next year as well, is to organize a group of authors that want to be able to share about their stories. Because I know I'm sure people's attention span is like a hot second, and then by then they're like lost attention. And even with this podcast, we want to make sure that people are actually engaged and listening. So whether you're listening on the treadmill, doing the washes, or in the carpool, which is usually me in the carpool, we want to just encourage you with that. So if you had to sort of wrap it up into a takeaway tip, what would you say to people who are listening today who want to be able to do what you've done?
I would say write, definitely network, and go to writers' conferences. Network with people on Facebook. Find these people that are doing these contributing author books. And like I said, we can give you links for that. And I'm excited that you're going to do one. And, I am thinking about also, because I'm starting to get into all this video stuff, about doing videos and interviewing people to share their stories about what they've been through, but the joy that's come from that. So I just tell people, keep writing, go to these writers' conferences, network with people, because the networking, that's how I found you. I didn't even find you. You found me, okay? And it's because of a friend from a writers' conference, and then I did a podcast with her. So I'm telling you, the network, who you know, seriously, that is it. Keep writing, though. I have a couple of people, I talked to the lady this morning. I called her and encouraged her to keep writing, because that is what it's all about. And then one day, God's going to open up that door.
Exactly, because it's some work to be done. Like, even when you have that idea, and I always say, like, when you're writing, like, I've always got at least 5 book ideas that I want to write. Now, of course, I'd love to do them all at once, but sometimes I have to marinate on the idea or think about it. And of course, my marketing head comes out and I'm like, how would we title this? Where would we categorize this, right? Kind of thinking from that side, like, who's going to read this? It's because that's the mistake I made with my first book, is because my story is important to me and I know the hard lessons I learned. I thought that I just needed to just blurt it all out on the page and everyone would get it. But what I'd realized, it wasn't necessarily what the audience wants to hear in the format they want to hear it. So by literally just flipping the script and having like a publisher, that's why I encourage a lot of my students in my membership site, is to kind of think about how your reader would read your book. And like you said, you decided on a journal, which is useful because journals are really selling well. They're on an up and up. So anyone listening, if you have an idea for a journal, it's a great place to start, especially if you don't want to do like a big 80,000 word book. But it's a journey, right? With anything, like we all work with the Lord, as He only expects us to do the things that we're capable of, and He'll give us the opportunities, but it's up to us to take those opportunities and to take action, not to sit on our laurels and expect that opportunities just find you. That only happens in the movies, okay? I just get this $500,000 book contract and whoa, fancy. It doesn't work like that. You've got to do the legwork.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to say, I really appreciate you sharing your story and your insights. And thanks for sending me the free book. I love, journals. I'll definitely be making use of that. But tell our audience, what's the best place they can get in touch with you online and find all the stuff you're doing?
Well, I have a Facebook under my name, Adria Wilkins, and then also have a website, joyboxstories.com. And my blog is on there, and then my speaking dates as well. I was working on that this morning, and seems like every week I'm getting a new little speaking engagement. And so you can check that out and see where I'm going to be, and I'm going to be doing some book signings in the near future as well.
That'd be awesome. Definitely make sure to connect and let her know that you saw her on Mimika TV. But before we wrap up, would you mind praying for our audience? Because I know they'd love to have that encouragement.
Sure. Dear God, I just lift up everyone that is listening right now. And I just pray that no matter where they are in their journey, whether it's writing, whether it's videoing, whatever their course in life is, God, I just pray that you will show them exactly what you have in store for them. I also lift up moms to you today that may be listening and taking care of their little ones. And God, I just pray that they will be able to take 3 to 5 minutes a day and spend time either in a journal, in your word, just to be uplifted and to look for the joy every day in their little children's eyes and just embrace them, because every day is a gift and life is short. None of us know when our last breath will be taken. So I lift up each person that's listening today and wherever they are in their journey with you, that they will look for joy and look for you in their lives and the little sprinkles of joy that you give us each day. Thank you for this opportunity to be with Mimika and to just get to know her delightful spirit. So I pray blessings upon her and her podcast and her videos coming up for the fall. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you for that. I appreciate the praise. I will take as much as I can get. Thank you very much. And for our audience too, I know when I'm listening, I'm like, yes, I need someone just to pray for me, please. When you're listening to this, whether you're listening on audio or you're watching on video, we want to just encourage you, make sure to add your comments, like any aha moments or anything, any questions. We love to, keep contact with our audience, and also to reach out to Adria and let her know that you heard her or saw her on the Mimika TV podcast. We love to be able to connect, I guess, with our audience. And if you really want to get more information about what we do, we want to hear more about all the content we share, please make sure to subscribe and rate and review us. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Spread the word about the podcast, because we are really sharing stories of Christians in the marketplace who are either business owners, authors, speakers, who are really putting out really good, encouraging content that really will help to build up people, because we know the world needs that, right? And if you want more freebie resources that I only share with my newsletter community, go to mimikacooney.com and click on my freebies tab. Right now, I've got a great little checklist, how to build your author platform, because with my book coming out as well, it's going to help authors like you. So if you're thinking you're writing something, but you don't know how to put yourself out there, or you don't want to, like Adria, you've been very brave putting yourself on videos. A lot of the stuff I want to teach you is to help you with that. So go there. You can download a checklist for free, as well as some free ebooks and goodies. So I'm going to say thank you again for spending your time with me. This has been super fun.
Thank you. It has been delightful.
Well, until next time, everyone, take care. Bye. If you want more free resources that we only share with our newsletter community, go to mimikacooney.com and sign up today. We have great resources like ebooks, inspirational screensavers, printables, and exclusive access to our community.